6:01. Do I have a volunteer to lead the Pledge of Allegiance? Anyone up there?
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay.
All right. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Okay, thank you, and welcome to our new commissioners. Our first order of business today is to choose a chairperson and a vice chairperson for this commission. And that is decided amongst the three of you, so I will just turn it over to the body to sort this out.
Can I go and speak? I think the person that should be the chair, I think Ryan should, because he's been here the longest. I consider him a veteran.
Second that. I second that.
So that's who I think should be the chair.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yes, and I'll,
You accept?
yeah.
Okay, then you're running the meeting from this point forward. The next line of business is to choose a vice chairperson.
Okay, so the next order of business of the Planning Commission is to choose a vice chairperson. Does anyone want to be vice chairperson?
I don't mind being vice.
Ruby, you're in.
Well, I'm
Yeah, I nominate Ruby as well.
second.
Okay.
Okay, there's no need to vote on that, so we move on to oral communications.
Cool. Okay, oral communications. This is the time for the public to address the Planning Commission on items not on the public hearing portion of the agenda. After obtaining permission to proceed by the presiding officer, speakers should state their full name and address for the record, not required. The speakers shall limit their address to 3 minutes. Any public comments that are discriminatory, defamatory, or otherwise not protected speech will not be considered, consented to, or otherwise adopted by the Planning Commission in its deliberations and findings. As a courtesy to others, please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. The Planning Commission strives to treat all participants with civility, and we ask that you do the same. Please keep remarks to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to address the commission? Okay, seeing no one, I will close oral communications. Do I have to gavel after that?
No, don't do the gavel, they'll stop the TV feed if you do.
Oh, okay, cool.
So,
Okay, cool.
the next item is, number 1 on the agenda is a color approval for 5267 Rosecrans Avenue. It's the Rosecrans Veterinary Clinic.
Okay, so F, Planning Commission, number 1, color approval, 526 Rosecrans Avenue Veterinary Clinic. Now is the time to place and consider application for color approval for the building located at 526 Rosecrans Avenue. Planning Assistant Anise Bermudez will present staff report.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'll be presenting a color consent application for Rosecrans Veterinary Clinic. The business is located on Rosecrans, just west of the 405 in a regional commercial zone. As you can see, the site was previously used by Honey Boba, and the awning you see in the left photo will remain unchanged, but the signage is being reviewed for a sign permit separately by the planning staff. These renderings are what the storefront looks like right now. The applicant painted prior to knowing that a color approval was required, but they've been really helpful in working with us to get their colors approved. So we see the base color of the building is a light tan, and that's consistent throughout the shopping center. All of the buildings are that color, and that will remain unchanged. The first accent color is that dark purple that is in a band across the top and down that pillar on the right side. The light purple color is the second accent color, and none of these colors are unusual for the shopping center. There's a Blaze Pizza there as well that has a bright orange, and other signage in the shopping center is brightly colored as well. So this doesn't stand out too much, and it's not unusual. And that brings us to the staff recommendation, which is that these paint colors be approved. We do propose the 2 conditions: that graffiti-resistant paint be used, as well as the building be maintained graffiti-free. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Does the planning commission have any questions for staff?
No questions here?
No questions.
Is the applicant present, and do they wish to speak? Would you like to address you have anything you'd like to say? We're happy with the recommendation. Okay, take that. So do I have a motion to approve?
I motion.
And is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Commissioner Houston,
Approve, yes.
Commissioner Cohen's,
Yes.
and Chairperson Richard,
Yes.
sorry.
Thank you. And I did that wrong. I'm supposed to ask you to call for the vote, right?
That's okay, I kind of knew that was coming. Okay, the next item is number 2 on the agenda, color approval for 3940 West El Segundo Boulevard. This is Calibri Motorsports.
Now is the time to consider an application for color approval for a commercial building located at 3940 West El Segundo Boulevard. Planning Assistant Anais how do I say your name?
Anais Bermudez.
Bermudez. Anais
Yes.
Bermudez will present a staff report. Thank you.
Yes, so the next color consent application is for Calibri Motorsport. The business is located on the corner of El Segundo and Roselle Avenue, and it's in an M1 zone, which is limited industrial. The picture you see here is what the building looks like now. There's an existing yellow paint and black paint on the left of it. The lettering and signage that you see will be addressed via sign permit, and that's going to require planning staff to approve and make sure that any lettering and signage is code compliant. But we will be looking at the yellow and black paint. So this is the proposed look. You can see the yellow and black paint will be refreshed, and in the staff report you can find the exact paint colors that were proposed, which are saffron yellow and black satin, I believe. That brings us to the conclusion, which is that the planning staff recommend approval of these paint colors. Similar to the first color consent, we just want to stipulate that graffiti-resistant paint be used and that the storefront be maintained graffiti-free.
Awesome. Okay. Does the planning commission have any questions for staff?
No questions.
Is your microphone on?
I do have a question on the signage. When the signage comes, or they decide what signage is going to be available and the lighting, where is it going to be placed? And is it going to come back to the Planning Commission for approval, just to make sure the lighting is correct on that?
No, so they'll be submitting for a sign permit, and we'll review that as the planning department. It won't need to come to planning commission. But as you can see in this rendering here, I guess they're changing the signage to be on the left there of the mural, and as opposed to where it is right now on the right.
Oh, they're flip-flop.
I'm sorry, and I'm assuming that's going to be exactly where I'm looking at a different, I'm looking from the west side, attachment 2. Is that where the sign is going to be placed? Right on top of that auto body sign?
Auto body.
Well, that's not the sign that one. That's the one I'm looking at right there.
Okay.
So I'm going to assume where the signage is right here in the white where it says Motorsport. Is that where the sign is going to be placed?
Yes.
Okay.
And by sign, I mean lettering. Like they'll probably be repainting this, and it's going to be required that they have a professional do it, because this picture here shows it's a little haphazard. So we're going to require that it be professionally painted, so it looks like how the rendering does here.
Okay, it's going to be painted. There's not going to be any bright lights, lighting.
Correct.
Okay.
No.
I just wanted to get that for clarification.
I don't think we would recommend that if it were that low to the ground. It would just be inevitably broken.
Okay. Sounds good. No more questions for me.
Okay.
Any further questions? Nope. Is the applicant present, and do they wish to speak? Okay. Do I have a motion for approval? Or do I have a motion?
I motion.
to approve?
Approve.
Okay.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I actually like this design, by the way. I saw the previous one. It was, good, but I like this one better. It kind of balances out everything. So I like it, and I second it. So yes.
Okay.
Will the secretary call for the vote? Yes.
Commissioner Houston,
Approve.
Vice Chairperson Cohen's,
Approve.
and Chairperson Richard.
Yes.
Okay, that's approved unanimously. We have no continued public hearings today, so the next item is H1, which is a new public hearing.
Okay. Now is the time and place to open the public hearing to consider design review application number DR 2023-00-011. Assistant Planner Nathan Levy. Nathan, is it the last name? Levy?
Levy?
Levy. Nathan
Oh,
Levy.
sorry.
Will present the staff report.
Okay, so we have before you a design review for a Starbucks coffee. It's going to be located in what's currently the Burger King on West El Segundo, close to 405. So if we look at the map here, we see that it is located in a C3 zone. To the east, you have the high school there, and then beyond the high school, we have Inglewood Avenue. Here we go. So currently, it's a completely developed lot. It's been developed for multiple decades. The site is a total of 168, almost 169,000 square feet. There are 5 structures on it currently. Current site conditions. So we have a fairly typical Burger King design right now from the 90s and 2000s, and that's when it was put into place in 98, 99. The proposal, though, is going to keep the same footprint as the current building, but the landscaping and the approach are going to be updated. This will cause some changes in parking, as well as the ability for stacking with the drive-through. So what we're looking at here for the shop itself, it's almost 2,900 square feet. The existing shell is going to be staying, but it's going to be refreshed, essentially. It's going to have new interior walls, a new exterior, and it will have a different look. It will be kind of what you would expect of a Starbucks in 2023. The proposed floor plan provides for sufficient space for storage of all their materials, as well as seating area for any customers, both inside and out. So here we have our elevations. It gives you a bit of an idea of what we're looking at as far as structure. One thing that is changing, and we can see in this elevation, sorry, I didn't provide an elevation of the current Burger King, but there is actually an office on the second floor of the Burger King. It's not very apparent just from looking at it, but it's there. That will be removed. It wasn't used properly, so it's kind of excess space. Excuse me. So here's our proposed, well, excuse me again. Sorry about that. So here's our proposed facade. Like I said, it does have the standard appearance of a Starbucks. It's got the wood finish with earth tones as well as black trim. And we can see here, the drive, the approach is fairly large. This allows for a good amount of landscaping to be added compared to what's actually already there. The redesign of the queue will remove 360 square feet of the landscaping, but it will add 2,100. So that gives us a net of almost 1,750 square feet of landscaping, which is always appreciated. The landscaping is going to be, of course, drought-tolerant plants that are all on the approved plant list for the city of Hawthorne. We did receive questions, which is why I've held off a little bit on the queuing and parking, because we received a question regarding parking. So the site originally had a little bit of a different layout. So on this map here, the red indicates where previous structures were. That cross-hatched area is where the Burger King is now. So the red structures were removed, and then in about 1998 to 1999, the Burger King was put into place. Originally, the entire site had 235 parking spaces, and when they adjusted the buildings, removed the 2 and added the 1, they actually ended up with an excess of 21 spaces beyond what they had before. So with the design and layout of Burger King turning into Starbucks, we actually do lose some parking spaces due to the queue, and 18 of the excess will be removed, but that still provides more than what would be required by the city. So if we look at the total site plan, we see that the queue towards the north is where we're seeing a lot of the change in the total site. And that is one of the big changes that will help alleviate any congestion issues caused by a Starbucks drive-through. So the staff is recommending approval of PC Resolution 2023-21 with conditions of approval.
Thank you. Does Planning Commission have any questions for staff?
I have a few questions. Could you walk me through the drive-through situation? Because that is a very tight space with the Christie's traffic, with the gym traffic, and and then the highway is right there. In the mornings when everyone gets coffee, I'm very worried about overcongestion.
So essentially, we have that stoplight right there, and that will be the primary entrance for people to access the Starbucks drive-through. There are, of course, other entrances to the parking lot as well. With the configuration that they have, let's see if I can find, I think our landscape plan is going to be one of the better visuals here. With the landscape plan, it provides for that long arm, which allows for significant stacking of cars. And part of the Public Works Department's review will be to require sufficient queuing. So one of the things that they often require is the location of the kiosk closer to the building.
It always happens when you're talking to other people, right? Never at home.
I think my bosses would say it's because I speak too much during the day. But, so with that design feature, it alleviated a lot of the planning department's concerns with the traffic impacts, as well as the fact that it's currently a fast food restaurant.
Right. But
So they do deal with an influx of people, especially in the mornings and at lunchtime and in the evenings.
and it's only one drive-through kiosk,
Yeah.
not a double.
Correct.
Do we know the number of cars it can sustain at one time?
In the queue,
Yes.
let me see. I do have that. 14?
14?
14.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any other questions?
I do have a question. If you can go, well, you have it right there where the drive-through is at. The width of the drive-through, just curiosity, for SUVs, is that
Yeah.
is that going to be enough room right there on that side
Yeah,
to
that's
go
what-
through?
If you look, the driveway on that tighter turn actually widens out significantly, and that's to make sure that cars that are wider and longer have the turning capabilities.
Okay. Well, actually, my concern is just right when you turn that curve.
Towards
Going-
the very top of the image?
Yes, right
Oh, okay,
there.
Okay. Yeah, so again, that actually is the current footprint of the Burger King. That northern part's not going to be changing on the drive-through. That curb that's at the very, very top of the image is already there and it's been there.
Although it's already there, is an SUV able
Yes.
to go without a problem? Do they have enough room on each side?
Mhm.
And another question is on the traffic flow, because that's what's worrying me as well. Are the arrows going to be on the ground to direct the traffic? I don't think. I wasn't
Yes,
sure
that will
about
be a
that.
requirement that Public Works will incorporate into any of their plan checks.
We can also add that as a condition of approval, that there be a sign painted on the ground that points to where the drive-through entrance is.
I think that's a good idea,
Okay.
just to help out any type of congestion.
So whenever a motion is made, just include that.
Okay. Going through and around. Just curiosity, on the other side where people have to wait for their order, is there a space for that on the opposite end? Say, for instance, they're not ready for that person, you have congestion in the back to get it flowing. Is there a space on the opposite end for like waiting or anything like that?
You're talking about the end of the drive-through?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's see if I can pull up the. So, so there's not a lot of room. Most of the room has been taken just to accommodate for the initial queuing.
Okay.
So you can see towards the right of the top image, we have the actual drive-through window. And so that would be essentially the front of the building, so the end closest to El Segundo Boulevard.
Okay. And then just one more question for clarification, and that would be it. And I have a lot of questions. On the queuing part, does that mean, what is the definition of that in the sense of, okay, we have an overflow. Is there going to be a staff member? Is that part of the condition where they actually direct traffic? Because what my concern is there's a light right there. And once it backs up and they see that it's backed up, is someone, or what is the process? Is someone going to take over? Because if they block that little area going down El Segundo, there's not going to be, you're not able to pass anybody on that El Segundo side.
Well, the queuing, and we should ask the applicant this, but I think that the queuing number they're giving does not include the parking lot driveways. Is that correct? So there's extra capacity in the driveways of the parking lot for a rush when there's more than 14 vehicles. And so we don't currently have a condition in there that says there must be someone directing the traffic because we're not anticipating there being a queue of 20 or 30 cars. But if you feel that there is a possibility, then we can add a condition.
I don't really want to add a condition. I'm just trying to figure out if maybe we could revisit and see if it's a problem. Is that even
Well,
possible?
that does create problems because you're giving sort of a conditional or a temporary approval.
Got you.
And yeah, but based on the other Starbucks that is on El Segundo Boulevard that unfortunately does spill over into the street, they have a very short queuing drive-through compared to this one, and then this one has the extra capacity of all of the various driveways on the property. So I don't anticipate this one becoming a problem like the other one has been. This one is also set back quite a bit from the street, so I mean it does help a lot. We didn't have such a condition on the other one, probably should have, but I think that one had a pre-existing conditional use permit for the taco stand. That's why we didn't get a chance to address it here. But I think we would have included it there. But in this case, my opinion is that there's probably nothing to be that concerned about.
Okay. Well, because I've been at that Burger King before, and that's my concern. 'Cause I always stop there a long time ago, and I was just like, oh, whoa. And I know there is a 24-hour fitness.
Yeah. It's a Coast Fitness. It's
Oh, I'm so
a
sorry.
one-off.
think so.
Yeah, and I see all the congestion there, but I do see that it's also empty on the other side. So I'm not really worried about that part where parking is.
Yeah.
Because I looked at it and said, well, if they wanted to park, there's a whole facility, they just can go to the opposite side. So that was my thinking on that part of parking. So I was like, okay, it's not bad.
Yeah.
No more questions for staffing.
The only other thing I would want to add is that the morning congestion could happen at near the donut place, but people leaving the drive-through are heading right off the property, so that it
Okay.
probably won't be much of a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the questions. I think you covered one of mine. It was the first thing I wanted to know is that this was not a drive-through only location, but it looks like they have seating in front. Oh, it looks like they have seating in front, inside too. So it's
Okay.
not as much of saying that all the traffic will be drive-through.
Yeah.
So there's space for people to stop or also say, or do like me at Chick-fil-A. I don't like sitting in the line, so I'll park and just go inside because it's
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
true.
easier. I have a couple questions just about the landscaping. I'm looking at this photo here. Are all of these spots? It looks like we have proposed trees in each one of those spots. Are those actually trees, or are those going to end up being shrubs or something?
Let's see. Yes, they're actually going to be trees. They're going to be sycamores, California sycamores.
Okay. And that's 5 or am I
Yes.
6? 5 trees. Okay.
5.
That's no more questions for me. So say it's the applicant present and wish to speak. Come on. Oh, again, thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to speak with you all today. So just wanted to, I can start or?
All good. Go
Okay,
for it.
perfect. I did take some notes on some of the questions that you guys had, and I just wanted to kind of bring our perspective a little bit to the table here. So as far as stack issues, just to kind of give you a little bit on the business side and also the architecture, I've been doing Starbucks for about 13 years, give or take, so I kind of understand their business a little bit.
Apologize.
when
Just
designing.
before you keep going, can you
Sure.
tell us your name?
Yes, Michael Farragal, I'm the architect of record on the,
Michael Farragal,
on the job.
thank you.
Thank you so much. So the Burger King stack, as it stands right now, it's not sufficient for a current 2023 QSR, which is quick serve restaurant. Even Burger King, if they're designing stores right now, they would not do it the way they have this location. So as far as the width of the drive-through lane, we actually had to expand that from what it is right now, which is about 10 feet, to 12 feet. And that is to accommodate larger cars. We understand a lot of people are driving SUVs and whatnot nowadays. Also, the turning radiuses. Usually, as you approach the drive-through lane, the inside turning radius, we make it as wide as we can so that the sidewalk, the curb, it becomes more of a guide for those who are not as, newer drivers, if you will, right? Larger cars, etc. And we try to keep it as far away as possible from the building. So if you are jumping a little bit of the curb one, but 12 feet wide will accommodate any car. The other component to that is the existing order point for Burger King is too close to the window where they're servicing the customer. That causes a lot of issues from an operational standpoint. What we do is we place our order point at car number 7. That allows a customer to place the order. By the time they reach the window, 45 seconds give or take, their order is already ready to go. We actually do not require any waiting after the windows. If you guys, I'm assuming a lot of us have gone to Starbucks. Usually you're not waiting after the window for any orders. And that is because we try to place the order point at car number 7, and then a pre-menu for you're already thinking about what it is that you're ordering. So by the time you get to the window, that is enough threshold for the order to be ready. So that is on the queue component. We talked about the 12-foot width. As far as signage and arrows on the ground, we actually have directional signage throughout as you approach the parking lot coming in, we are directing, we have actual directional signage that are illuminated, directing customers to the easiest path to the drive-through entrance. And the way we wrapped the drive-through entrance, you will notice it is all the way against the property line on the back, which is the least amount of area being utilized right now. It's actually more of a loading, unloading. The trucks are coming around the back. We allowed that to be free, and then that's where we extend the drive-through lane. So giving us our order point at car 7, and then 7 cars after that for additional stack, which we feel at that 14-car stack, you're usually not going to spill out. And even if you do spill out, you are spilling out into the least amount of occupied space as far as parking goes within on the property. So that's that component. Directional signage are going to be illuminated. We have multiple on site, as well as ground markings. Now, we do know ground markings, they do tend to fade, and so we do rely more on the directional signage than the ground markings. As far as space for customers waiting, we've touched on that a little bit. Blocking the area in the the drive aisles, I think it was one of the concerns. So right now, as the site stands, and I don't know, I can't, am I able to switch back at all to?
Use the arrow buttons.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Now, let me see if I can go to any of the existing conditions. The existing conditions, the drive aisle right now is about 25 feet. That only allows one car to go, one car to come on the other side. So if we are blocking it, you're unfortunately blocking it. And so what we ended up doing, we actually expanded out to 35 feet, allowing for a very generous area. And let me see if I can go. So yeah, you'll actually notice that this area here grew by a margin. So I removed some of the parking that was along this end here, and then and let me see if I can go to the existing condition, if we have that. That would really help if we, yeah. So this area here, you can kind of see how tight it is right now. I know you can't really see it very well, but this is a pretty tight area. So what we did is when we took a lot of these parking spaces and removed them, and then kind of pushed everything towards the back, this opened that area up to 35 feet. So if we are spilling out a little bit, we're still not blocking the ingress, egress of vehicles and also the two-way traffic there, allowing for cars to be able to bypass as needed, if you will. So hopefully that addresses that concern a little bit there. Yeah, so we widened that path of travel to 35 feet to accommodate the bypass. Yeah, open to any other questions you may have. And really what we're trying to do here from an architecture standpoint, I mean, these kind of conversions actually cost a little more than ground ups. But from an architecture standpoint, in my opinion, I think it is to try to maintain as much of built environment as possible and just give it an additional life. So this is the 30-year-old building. Hey, let's give it a new face. Let's spend the money on it instead of taking it down and reconstructing something similar and just give it another 30 years. I think it's the green approach here, as much as we can.
Any other questions of the applicant?
No further questions for me. No.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Going to the landscaping.
Yes.
Okay. So there is going to be 6 trees. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, we're proposing 6 trees, but if you zoom in a little bit, I don't know if you can zoom in here or not, but if you zoom in, a lot of this area is all planting material. And the reason we want to do that, we wanted to create a buffer zone. The way I designed those outdoor patio spaces, I want to make sure that the customer, whether they're inside the space or outside the space, they have an elevated customer experience. They're able to sit in a space that feels good. And so you want to buffer or shield the customers from the vehicular traffic, and that's why we do shrubbery and vegetation with some different color planting, as well as we do have a screen all the way around, almost a rail, if you will. We're using actually breeze block here, which is really nice. And then we're diversifying the type of seating that you have outside. So you have a little bit of lounge seating, a little bit of two-tops seating and whatnot. So go ahead to your landscape again.
No, I like the landscaping. That's what I was going to go out.
Awesome. Okay, great.
I like that greenery out there. I
Yeah.
think it's going to beautify the area.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to compliment you on that one.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No more questions from my side.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.
Is there anyone who wishes to address the commission on this issue? Seeing none. Director McClain, you have any additional comments?
No.
Okay. Are there any, Mr. McClain, are there any documents to place into the administrative record?
No.
Do any of my fellow commissioners have any final comments on this item or questions of staff?
No.
No, just between us, but go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I will now formally close the public hearing on these items. And do I have a motion for the design review?
A motion?
Which way?
Yes.
Motion to approve? Okay, I think we're motioning to approve. We had a condition that we wanted to add.
I think
Well, Yeah, I was going to ask, do you want to include that? Because I think that the above-ground lighted signs directing people to the drive-through is going to be a more efficient and better solution than having them painted on the pavement.
I was satisfied with the answer the gentleman gave me here. I'm not going to add a condition.
Okay.
I think it's going to work out just fine because I see that it's wider. It's good. It's good. I'm satisfied.
Okay. Okay.
So then we, just a straight motion to approve by Commissioner Houston. Do you have a second?
Yes.
Second.
All right, Commissioner Houston,
Approve.
Vice Chairperson Cohen's,
Yes, approved.
and Chairperson Richard.
Yes.
Okay, that's approved. So next we have items to be placed on future agendas. Maria, would you mind giving a quick overview of what's coming?
Not a problem. Good evening, Commissioners. Yes, so for the November 15th meeting, we do have 3 items that we are anticipating coming before you. And one is a variance application for a residential lot. And we will give you more details at that time when our planner, which will be Anais, will be presenting. We will have a zone text amendment, and that's for the CM zone along Hawthorne Boulevard, I believe.
Yeah, it's the mall and north of it.
The
on
mall
both
and
sides
north
of
of
the
it.
street.
Yes. And the last is we will have 3 cannabis applications coming before you. 1 is a retail only, and 2 will be retail and consumption lounges. So a total of 3.
So this will be a very busy and long meeting, I'm afraid, so prepare accordingly.
Wow, wow.
And if Commissioners, if you have any questions once you receive all of the applications, please feel free to reach out to the staff, and we'll assist you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
That's good.
I had a question about things that may be coming forward. I don't know, do we have past meeting minutes or anything that we need to approve? And if we do, how do we do that?
There were several were caught up finally. So those that would have normally been signed by our chairperson, who is no longer with us, I signed them
Okay.
on behalf of that person. So any the minutes for this meeting will be brought to you for signature probably at the next meeting or the one after that.
Okay. The reason I asked is I know we don't have, traditionally,
Yeah.
if you're not here, you can't, I mean, there's not enough of us to.
Right.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I'm always here, so I had no conflict.
That works. So move on to commissioner reports. So we'll start from the left. Jen, is your time, you just kind of share if you have anything you want to say, just
It's
get your
optional.
report. Yeah, it's optional, you don't have to.
I think I'm just happy to be here. It's my first meeting. I'm getting my feet wet. I'm looking forward to next meeting and really diving in. So thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Same thing. I was looking at these and reviewing all these beautiful papers that you guys sent me over here. You guys do a fantastic job. So I just really want to extend, this is the first report that I've gotten, the first agenda and so forth. But I see all the work that's put into it, and I just really want to say thank you to you guys. I know you work really hard, and it's greatly appreciated from all of you guys. So you guys are doing a fantastic job
Thank you.
in
you so
answering any
much.
questions, because I know I had some questions
Yeah.
here and there, but those were answered quickly, actually. You guys rebutted me really quickly. And I was satisfied, and because you guys are on it. You guys are really
Thank
on
you,
it. So
Commissioner.
thank you very much for your hard work.
Thank you. I'll just move on to manager's report. The first thing is I want to welcome our new commissioners. So Commissioner Houston and Commissioner Cohens, thank you for doing this for us. And hopefully in the not too distant future, we'll get 2 additional, and that will make having meetings easier because as it stands with just 3, you all have to be here in order for a meeting to happen. So that can be a challenge. The second thing, building on what Commissioner Cohen said, it's if you have any questions at all, it's good to let us know. But that is not in any way intended to say don't bring them up in the meeting. You're free to bring them up again in the meeting if you want the public to hear your thought process. That's fine. But sometimes we can answer the questions very quickly, and hopefully that will, help you to understand the projects that are coming before us, and we're glad to do that for you. Okay, and if at any time you want to have a little bit more in-depth discussion on any item, before the hearing, please feel free to ask me if you can come in and have a meeting or something. That's absolutely not a problem.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, last thing I was going to say, echo Greg's sentiments. Welcome, glad to have you guys here. Super excited to see what this team gets to do. I will say, apologize up front that we're going to be in here for a long time next week. But this is a trial by fire. You jump right into the long meetings. So yeah, I'm glad to be in this with you guys and looking forward to the rest of this. Okay.
And I apologize for jumping ahead
You're all
before you
good.
had a chance to say anything.
Yeah,
Okay, so next item is adjournment.
So this meeting is adjourned at 6:42 to the next regular meeting of November 15th, 2023.